Everyone had been very curious about Abdullah, once called Hussein ibn Salam. He, they knew, had been a respected rabbi of the Medina Jews, a scholar of the Torah from generations of scholars. Turning to the curly-haired sage, a companion asked him, "Abdullah, now it is your turn. Tell us how you came to embrace Islam, you who were so devoted a Jew." "Let me remind you," he began, "that in the Torah, as well as in the sacred traditions, there is mentioned a prophet who would appear in Mecca and then migrate to Medina. So in fact, all my life I had hoped and prayed that I would live long enough to see him." Every day as I worked in my garden or went to the synagogue or studied the Torah, I never once forgot this prophecy. So you can imagine the excitement I felt when I discovered that indeed a prophet from Mecca was soon to arrive in Medina. From my garden I saw many of my neighbors leave their homes to join others at the lookout who were scanning the horizon for his arrival. I wished I could join them, but how was that possible? Was I not the most renowned rabbi in Medina? I kept very quiet about it, but in secret I checked all the information I could get about him, his name, his family, his character, and so forth, and as a result became convinced that this was indeed the prophet mentioned in the holy books. So, as I was telling you, I was in my garden one day, cutting, splicing, and planting date palms, when the news reached me that this prophet had indeed arrived and was at that moment in Quba, on the outskirts of Medina. The news was too much for me. I couldn't hold myself back and shouted at the top of my lungs, "God is most great! God is most great!" Well, now, my aunt Khalida, who was sitting not far from me in the shade of a tree, was completely astonished, and even more so when I poured out my heart to her. "Auntie," I said, "this news is as precious to me as if I had heard that Moses himself was coming to Medina. In fact, he is a brother to Moses and has brought the same religion and is appointed by God, as was Moses." My aunt thought over this statement for a moment, and then looked up at me and asked, "Is he the prophet whom you used to talk about, the one sent by God to confirm and finalize God's message on earth?" And when I answered, "Yes, Auntie, it is he," she nodded her head and seemed not displeased. You should have seen, indeed many of you did see, the crowds of people rushing down the streets to meet him, all manner of people, old ones hobbling along, young men running, ladies, children. They all had one aim, to approach him as soon as possible. I ran down the street with the rest of them until I was close enough to hear what he was saying. If you remember, the words were, "O people, spread peace amongst you, give food to the needy, pray during the night whilst others sleep, and you shall enter paradise without any difficulty." What a wonderful message! His words filled my heart with joy, and I realized that I had been right, that this was indeed the blessed prophet of the holy books. So, pushing my way through the crowd, I got even closer to him and declared in a firm voice, "I bear witness there is no God but God, and that
وأشهد أن
Muhammad is the messenger
محمد
of God."
رسول الله.
The blessed prophet turned towards me What is your name?" he asked. "Hussein, son of Salam," I replied. "Here is your new name," he said. "Abdullah, son of Salam." What better name than that, I ask you, for Abdullah means the servant of God. And a servant of God, as you know, cares nothing of hatred and bigotry and prejudice. He will break through all those barriers. "Oh, yes, Muhammad," I said, "Abdullah, son of Salam, shall be my name henceforth." Everyone was anxious to hear about the blessed Prophet. Our whole family, my wife and all my children, gathered in the garden that day, and seizing the opportunity, I told them all about the blessed Prophet and my new name. My enthusiasm must have reached them, for they gladly accepted Islam and pronounced their declaration of faith. Even my aunt Khalida embraced Islam, though she's an old woman. But I knew full well that the other Jews, my own people, would never tolerate our decision. We would be in for all kinds of accusations and humiliations if they found out. For the time being, I said to my family, we had better keep our conversion a secret. I need time to discover the best way to announce it to the Jewish congregation. With this, my family agreed. Some time later, after the blessed Prophet had settled in Medina and had built his quarters in the mosque, I went to see him. My people are very strong-willed, Allah's messenger. They are quick to reject the truth or to blame and criticize others. So for some time I've been thinking of a plan whereby they will be left with no excuse. They will be forced to admit the truthfulness of my claim. This is what I propose. If the Jewish leaders hear that I have accepted Islam, they will not hesitate to declare that I am in the wrong. They will slander and belittle me. So they should not be told. Instead, I would like you to invite them here and talk to them about Islam and invite them to Islam. I will be hiding behind a curtain while you talk to them. Then, as you are talking, ask them their opinion of me and hear what they have to say. Then we shall see their faces when they hear that I have embraced Islam. They will be caught in the web of their own confusion. This is what I suggested to the blessed Prophet, and he seemed willing to try it out. So the following Friday, while I was hiding in one of the rooms beside the mosque, the blessed Prophet summoned all the Jewish leaders, tribal chiefs and rabbis. He talked to them very convincingly of the signs foretelling the arrival of a prophet who was to bring a message such as was brought by Moses. He showed them how it was inevitable that Islam should be the final religion sent by God. And finally he invited them to join Islam and declare their new faith. But, as I had predicted, they argued with him about everything he had said. They became more and more heated until finally the blessed Prophet realized there was no point in continuing the discussion. "Tell me then," he asked them, after raising a hand for silence, "tell me then, what is your opinion of Hussein, son of Salam? What do you think of the man? Is he truthful and just?" Oh, you should have heard them. They immediately changed their tone. "Hussein, son of Salam," said the old chief, the one with the high nasal voice. "Hussein, son of Salam," he squeaked. "Well, why, he is the greatest scholar of us all. He is our rabbi, descended from a long line of chiefs and rabbis. He is the wisest Jew of Medina." All of them nodded their agreement to this statement until the blessed Prophet interrupted them. In that case, said of indignation arose, and some got to their feet and started shouting, "Never! Never! There is no possible way that Hussein would accept Islam. He would never take such a false step." This was exactly the moment I had been waiting for. I stepped into the room, and all eyes turned to stare at me. What was I doing in hiding? They asked themselves. "Oh, Jews of Medina," I addressed them, "fear God and accept what the blessed Prophet Muhammad has told you. Do not deny him as you've denied Jesus and other prophets who came before him. You should know by the signs that he is a true messenger of God. You even know his name, his attributes, and his characteristics. As for me, I bear witness that he is the messenger of God, and I believe in him and testify that what he says is the truth." They could not believe their ears. Some of them turned purple with rage and disbelief. Suddenly their anger burst as does a thunderstorm on a hot day. They yelled at me and insulted me. All the compliments which they had showered on me and on my family turned to insults like soft rain turns to hail. "You are the worst man amongst us. Your father, your grandfather's the same. You ignorant imbecile, you evil, vile man. Curses rot your family." And so on, and so on, and so forth. It took them quite some time to realize the stupidity of their reactions. And when they did, they were even more furious. And so it is with those who are not firm in heart and are blinded by falsehoods. As for me, I would rather be amongst you, many of whom I don't know, than with a community of people such as those.